Hi, welcome back to my channel. So today, friends, I am sharing the final flip through of my December daily album for 2024. So I do have several process videos over here, not for all the spreads, but for a lot of them. So I'll link the playlist below if you want to check those out. But otherwise, let's dive in. So this year I used a Citrus Twist 6x8 album. I don't know what this color is. I think it might be Clementine or something like that. It's like the pinkish one. And then I also used a mix of a few collections, a couple from Pink Fresh and also one from Vicky Booten. So if you have any questions about anything, just let me know and I'll try to get back to you on the specifics. So first of all, I covered the inside, front, and back cover with this pattern paper from Vicky Booten. It was the Peppermint Wishes or whatever the collection was called. It's okay. I mean, I was really excited about that at first because it's the same exact color as the album, but I don't know if I overdid it with that, but it's already all adhered down, and so that's what I'm working with. So just like every year for my album, I always do 25 stories, so they're not the days of the month or anything, they're just stories throughout the month. So let's get into it. So for my first page here, I have my reason why. So I have a transparency from Ali Edwards that says the best time of the year. And then I have a bokeh picture of my Christmas tree with the Dymo label maker. And then before the season really started, I don't ever do foundation pages, but I did make a couple of these pockets where I already had a tag ready to go. So on this one, I did my reason why and was able to just add it right in. And I really love the way that that turned out. Then for story number one, I wanted to do kind of a reflective story because this year has not been the easiest year for my family. There's just been some health things and different things like that going on, you know, just in the scheme of years, it wasn't the best. So I was really hopeful that December would be a good one. But if y'all have been following along, you know that it was also quite difficult. But here at the beginning, I was hopeful. I wrote out kind of a letter to December, just like a little bit about the year, a little bit about my hopes for December. And then actually you can pull this tag off. It's adhered down with Velcro. And then there's a current picture of me and Will from, I think, the very end of August. So then that just pops right back on. And then I made these little like window pocket thingies. And underneath here are a bunch of older pictures of me and Will from just Christmases past. And so I was kind of just doing some reflection and stuff. So I just thought I would add those in for story number one. Then for story number two, I wanted to talk about decorating the house. So of course, it's one of the first things that I do whenever December comes. And I wanted to make sure that the house was decorated early this year because we were going out of town right at the beginning of the month. So I did take a selfie in one of the Christmas tree balls there, and I spelt out Deck the Halls using a LA Studio stamp set. And then I just used, I took photos of the house and I printed them off at maybe like a 2x3 or some kind of size like that, where they were kind of skinnier rectangles, and added in my 6 photos with my journaling at the bottom. I did decide to do all typed journaling this year, and I used Avery sticker paper, which I'll link below. I really love the way that this sticker paper worked out, so it was super easy to use. Then for my story number three, of course, I had to talk about Starbucks, one of my favorite holiday things to do. So I knew that I wanted to use this really cute, like little cozy for the hot drinks because it was scalloped, and I thought that was so cute. So I just chose a pattern paper, and then I used a piece of transparency, added this on top and sewed it. And then I did grab a bag from Starbucks. And so I used that as my pattern paper, and it told my story about me and my mom always getting the drinks and trying all the different drinks throughout the season. So that was fun. Then for story number four, I didn't really know what I was going to do for this one, and I needed kind of a transition to get into the stories about going to New York. So I ended up just printing off a full-size photo of the plane, you know, the wing of the plane. And then I added one of these like little pleather hearts that were from Ali Edwards. I cut out my own little heart just to talk about how the adventure of the year was happening, because this was our big trip of the year, was to go to New York for the holidays. So then I knew that I wasn't going to tell a story a day for New York. Like, we were there from the 3rd until the 9th. So I already knew that stories 3 through 9 wouldn't be about New York. That's just not normally how I do my album. So I figured that I would do kind of an overview story, and then I would do maybe a couple standout things that happened throughout the trip. So that's what I ended up doing. So I went with this really easy layout where I just used my circle punch, and I picked out photos, also patterned paper, did my title, and then a lot of them flip up and they reveal additional journaling, or sometimes they reveal additional photos. And this was just a really easy way to get a lot of pictures and journaling onto this one spread. So I could just kind of tell this story in its entirety of going to New York for those days. But like I said, I did want to tell 2 other specific stories. So I printed off this picture of the Diker Heights Christmas lights, which were incredible. So I love having the full size photo there so you can really see all the lights. And then I made this little tag with my number 6 and told my story about going to the Diker Heights Christmas lights. So we did several Christmassy things, of course, while on the trip, and this was one of my favorite ones. Another thing that I loved was getting to go to the Strand bookstore. And the reason why I really wanted to do this was because of the Christmas movie, Dash and Lily. So it's one of my favorite like modern day Christmas movies that have come out, or it's like a TV show, I guess. It's a Christmas show. There's 8 episodes. So I really wanted to go there, and it was really fun. It was all decorated for Christmas, and it was a magical time. So I did like a little flip out. So I printed off my large photo of the Strand, and then I added in like a little hinge over here with patterned paper and just cut out my other photos. And then I just printed off, I used one of these Allie Edwards, like 3x8 or whatever this size is, like little papers that I had from a pack that had the transparencies and whatnot. So I did all my stuff on here and then just put a photo on the back. Then I just adhered it in the middle with a cute little embellishment, and I did add another bit of the Velcro to hold it in place. So I really love the way that that one turned out. So then at this point, we were back from our trip. So we went, like I said, from December 3rd through 9th, and then only 5 hours after we got home, my mom had 2 seizures, actually, and her sodium had dipped really low, and it was really, really scary. And she ended up being in the hospital for 5 days. And so it was really, I mean, one of the most traumatic things that's ever happened in my life, and it was really hard. So this December ended up being super tough, and it's really, you know, difficult when you're a person that loves the holidays, and I look forward to it all year, you know, and I love documenting. I love, you know, I love scrapbooking, and it just took some of that, you know, magic out of my scrapbooking experience. But whenever I could have pockets of time after she was back home and everything, and I could come back and work in my craft room, it really did help me. And it always, as always, it's a therapeutic experience for me to tell my story, to type up the stories. And even though this year looked a lot different than I was expecting, I'm really happy that I was able to finish this album and able to tell those hard stories, but also look for the good as the month continued. So this was something that I knew I already wanted to do for some story in the album, and that was just to cut the hearts and then add in my story. So I thought that this worked out nicely. So I stamped "Some Days Aren't So Very Merry" there on the front, and then I just had a couple pictures. As the days were getting better at the hospital, we watched some of Elf, and we were holding hands there, so I just included that photo with this sentiment and the number 8. And then on the other side, I had snapped another picture of our hands. You know, it's so weird at the hospital. I definitely didn't want to take any photos, but once my mom was feeling a little better and all of that, I thought, well, I'll get a picture of our hands, you know? And so that's like a brief version of the story and what happened. So then as that next week continued, we obviously weren't doing Christmassy things. You know, it threw a wrench in my plans. And that was fine. You know, I was so happy to have my mom home, but I didn't have a lot to document in here. So what I ended up doing was I stamped "Merry Christmas, but I think I'll miss this one this year." And that's from that, is it The Waitresses? I think so. And it's called like Christmas Wrapping or something. And it's one of those Christmas songs that's kind of about not wanting it to be Christmas or whatever. So I stamped that, and they just talked about how Christmas looks a lot different this year and all that kind of stuff, and how it it was the 3rd, and then now it's like mid-month, and it's like, where has the time gone? So I did have this picture from the very beginning of the year of my coffee with the Christmas tree in the background, so I just added that onto this tag for story 9. And then story 10, I just did like an update about my mom. So at this point, it was a week after she'd been home, and actually she had to get her hair cut. She got quite a bit cut off, because this is something that I would never have thought about, but when she was in the hospital, her hair was like getting really, really tangled while she was like laying in the hospital bed. And so when she got out, it was like a huge mat, like a matted chunk of hair, and it was really scary. And so we were able to go to our hair person, and she helped so much and gave my mom a cute little haircut. And this was just an update about going to the doctor, getting her haircut, just kind of like the struggles that we were still having, but the positives that we were feeling. Then once we got to story 11, it starts to be a little more Christmassy. So at this point, I did have plans to see my 2 best friends. We'd had, this plan for like the entire month. And so I was really excited to be able to get out. And even though my mind was still with my mom and it was kind of hard, it was nice to be able to get out for a little bit and do something, festive. So since I knew I was going over there, I created I'd made a bunch of treats, which I was really excited about. So I bought some little tins from Target. So these are the tins, decorated at the end. And then I made Rice Krispie treats, and I cut them out small with little mini Christmas cookie cutters. I made these Oreo truffles, which I make every year, and then some puppy chow. So I just did like a rough version of the recipes here. 3 super easy things, no bake, super easy to make. And I'd seen a layout similar to this online somewhere with the large photo and then the 3 little like long boxes, and I really liked that, so I just went with that as my layout for 11. For story 12, I knew I just wanted to do 1 large photo, the big title, small amount of journaling, and then have a pocket. So I went with a clear pocket over here because I asked my friends. I actually brought these typed up little tags, and then I added the photos on later. So I asked my friends their favorite holiday movie and song, tradition, treat, and favorite gift they've received. And so that was really fun. So that's my friend Casey's, and then this is Shelby's, and then here is mine. And then we also did one, Casey filled them out on the back, and we did one for Andy and Mickey, Casey's 2 girls. So that was super fun, and just a nice little activity that we did while we were all together. And I love having the other voices, and then just have our cute little pictures. And I brought fun Christmas glasses, so we had a good time. Story 13. So then we had another hard day because our cat, Shanghai, who we've had for 10 years, he ended up getting sick, and he's been sick for a little while, and he's been kind of in and out of the vet and stuff. And he had a form of cancer, and he had a visible tumor on his face, and it's just been really hard, and it started to get worse. And when we got back from New York, it was obviously worse. And, I won't get into it, but it was hard. So we had to make the very difficult decision to say goodbye to him. So this was a picture that I had taken earlier in the year, and it's just a random, not very, I try to always take these nice photos. This was kind of just a random photo, a random day, nothing special, but it did have Shang there laying on the little bed. And then I had another one of these pockets with the tags that I had made before the season started. So I just typed up my journaling and put that in there about Shang. So that was just a really hard day to say goodbye to our friend. Then for story 14, so this was the same day actually as Shang, and me and my mom and my dad. Will was at work, but we were able to watch Christmas Vacation together, and it was so fun to just have us all at home and to be able to watch a Christmas movie. And my dad doesn't watch a lot of Christmas movies with us, so it was just special, and it was fun, and we were laughing for a while, and it was just, what we really needed. So I just kept this page super simple, snapped a picture of the screen, and then I did print off this meme because it says, well, I don't know what to say except it's Christmas and we're all in misery, which was kind of the vibe of this year. And then for story 15, so I took this picture of Penny and I thought it was cute. It was just an easy one of these little antlers that I had grabbed for her before, December started. So I ended up printing this off kind of big and adding it in with a little story on the back about how Penny's always such a good sport. And I always like to try all of like the viral doggy photos and things that I see online. And normally she's really good at it. But this year I tried to do the wrapping paper one. And I don't know if you guys saw this, but I saw it all over my Instagram. And it's like where you tape up a piece of wrapping paper and maybe already have a little hole started. Then you try to get your dog to put their head through the hole. And so I was trying, she got up close after a while, but that was with cheese. I was trying to entice her, but she just wouldn't stick her head through, so I couldn't get any good photos. So this was kind of a photo fail, but I still thought that it was fun to document. So I did that there for number 15. Number 16 is a really simple one. So at this point, I was really just trying to get all my stories done and trying to keep that momentum of telling these stories throughout the season. So for this one, I kept it really simple. I had these 4 photos of 4 different things that I was loving this season. So I did the Casey Musgraves soundtrack. I hadn't really been listening to Christmas music, honestly, but as I'd been in the car and stuff, I'd turned her on a few times. So I added that. My Christmas sheets, my holiday spruce candle that I love. And then also, this picture is hard to tell, but there's these little battery operated colorful lights and clear lights, and I had them around in the kitchen and they made me really happy. So I talked about all 4 of those things there. And then for story 17, I just took an up-close picture of this new ornament on our Christmas tree. And then I did the little trick where you use the X-Acto knife and cut around it. Then you can pop this up for 17 and the story. So it's like a Subway Santa. So we got that when we were in New York and I wanted to document it. Then these are my newer stories that I did not end up recording any type of process video for or show. I've shown them on Instagram a little bit, but these are newer. So all of these took place between like the last few days before Christmas. So this was Christmas Eve, and we were able to go to a Grizzly game here in town with Will's family. So I did a full-size photo with the Christmas title. Then over here, I liked that the Vicky Booten paper had some blue, so I added that, and this was on the popcorn bucket that we got, very Memphis, so I liked adding that in. Then I did this tag with a little photo of all of us with Will's parents and his brother and our sis-in-law. And then on the back, the Grizzlies had posted this on their Instagram, so I just stole it and added it on there. I had to cut out the S for it to fit, so it says happy holiday, but works good enough for me. And added my little number 18. Those are really old. Maybe from Vicky Booten or something. I don't know. I've had them for a few years. Then story 19, I wanted to talk about all of the Christmas movies that I watched. So I ended up, I've done this in different ways for different years, but I just used a small circle punch and I just, punched out a bunch of circles, and then I punched out the movie posters in the same little size. And then the decision to make it into like an ornament was later, so I kind of wish it was all moved down a little bit, but it was all adhered. I did sew through it, added my number, and just a bit of journaling. But it was just about how Christmas movies really were getting me through this year, and how a lot of them were really kind of extra special though whenever we watched them, because it meant so much. Just like watching Christmas Vacation with my parents, like I mentioned, watching Elf with my mom in the hospital, and also my parents watched Elf together later in the season, which again, my dad doesn't normally watch them, so it was really fun. Me and Will watching 8 Crazy Nights and Home Alone was just special. Me and my mom even got through all the episodes of Dash and Lily once she got home, and then we watched Noelle together as well, me and my mom. So, and then just a few other ones I watched with my friends or by myself. Then this next one is Christmas Eve, and it's the morning of. So this year we had already decided as a family that we weren't going to do gifts because, we just were like, we don't really need anything. And me and Will had just gone to New York, and my parents had gone on a trip and stuff. So we thought, well, we'll just do stocking stuffers. So me and my mom actually hadn't shopped for the stocking stuffers yet. And then all this happened. So we still hadn't shopped for them. So on Christmas Eve morning, I was really hoping that my mom would be able to go to Target with me, but she wasn't feeling up to it. So I went by myself. So I had to brave Target. So here's a little picture of the shopping cart and my story about that. And then this was another Ally transparency. So under this is a flat lay photo of a bunch of the goodies that I got for our stockings. But I like that this can cover it up and then it makes it look a little cleaner and not so busy. Then also on Christmas Eve, we took the dogs to go to a thing in town at the park called Light Garden, and it's like a walk-through light display thing. And it was so fun. We took Poppy to it last year, and Penny, like, she's not that friendly of a dog and she doesn't get out much. So we weren't really sure, but after we took Poppy last year, we kind of thought, yeah, we could take Penny. Let's try it. It's not that far from our house. So we thought, let's go for it. So it was so fun. Like, I'm so glad we did. And honestly, Christmas Eve night was really something that I really needed this year, and this was part of it. So I printed off this picture of me and Penny, bigger, did kind of a half and half kind of thing with my number and my journaling. And then on this side, I had other pictures of us with the dogs, and I probably should have done this the other way. Like, they obviously should probably fold out this way, but again, I'd already done it, so it just is what it is. But there's a few other pictures of us with the dogs, and that's how I decided to do that layout. I think I saw something, I don't know if they flipped out, but I saw someone do like 2 smaller photos, and I thought that was a good solution for this one. Then for story 22, this was later that same night, Christmas Eve night, and we watched 8 Crazy Nights, which is kind of mine and Will's holiday movie that we watch every year. So this was just a picture of, you know, the dark room where we were watching it. And then I did a little tag with the 22, my journaling, and this is a little picture from the movie, which I like. So it's an Adam Sandler movie, so that's Adam Sandler there, animated. And I just really loved watching this movie that night after taking the dogs out and then coming home, and we were all cozy, and it was a really nice night. Honestly, I got a little of that Christmas magic that I had been craving. Then for 23 and 24, so I knew that I wanted to do like an update about my mom, or just about the season, and also about like Christmas Day and Christmas Eve and whatever. But then I didn't have a story for the other day, for like 23. So I ended up thinking, well, what if I do just like a couple reflective journaling things here? So I had from the Vicky Bouton paper pad, there was a full sheet of these little envelopes. So I just stacked them on top of each other, and I used my X-Acto knife to open them up. And then I added in a couple tags. So this one with my Dymo label maker says update. So this is just about Christmas Day in general, and kind of what we did on that day and how it turned out and everything. And then I kind of have to pull that a little bit. And then this one says reflect. And so this one is a little more reflective journaling about the season, about how I'm letting go of all the things that we didn't get to do, things like that. And then that just pops in here for number 24. And I like the way that that looks. I don't normally combine days, but it worked out for this year, so I'm happy with that. And then for day 25, our Christmas Day, of course, was really low-key, as it always is, but especially this year. So I have a picture of my parents' tree, because we always go there on Christmas. And then over here, I ended up doing these tags, and I numbered them 1 through 4. And then just when you flip them up, there's a little bit of journaling under each one. This is about Will making the lasagna this year. We always have that on Christmas. This is about getting the doggies stockings with goodies. Here's one of picture of Penny, and about how I got scammed on these doggy PJs because they didn't even close to fit the dogs. And then we watched Home Alone that night. So just a few little bits and pieces about Christmas. And then to end the album, Will painted me a watercolor painting of Shanghai, which I love. And so I added a picture of the painting here, and then I just said, in loving memory of our sweet Shanghai, until forever, my friend. So just kind of dedicated the book to him. So that's it, y'all. So it was a difficult season. It was a different kind of season for sure. A lot of unexpected things thrown at us with all the things with my mom, who is still recovering just after these seizures and everything. She has a lot of back pain, and she also had colitis, and so she was having some stomach problems. And so it's just been a wild ride. And then Shanghai, and it's just was a trying year, a totally different kind of year for sure. But I'm still so happy that I was able to document it, and I'm so happy that I was able to have a little craft therapy to get through it all. And I love this album despite everything, and I'm happy that I have it to put on my shelf and to remember those times, and how what I'm taking away from this is the gratitude that I have for my family and for us all being here together, and how how everything turned out, and how my mom was home with us, and how grateful I am for all of those things. So anyways, y'all, that is my flip through for the year. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, please give me a like, and please also consider subscribing. And of course, I'll be back at you with lots of new fun content in 2025. Bye, y'all.